Hello there guys, welcome back to Younes Talks Football, welcome back to a brand new video. I hope all of you are doing well today. Welcome to another eventful evening in the 2022 World Cup where it's unbelievable odds once again crushed. Why? Because we get a couple of shocks. What a surprise. You know, it's just shock off every day. Every day is a shock. Every day there's a shock. And it's wonderful to see for a tournament of this magnitude. It's great to have shock after shock. Long may it continue. Hopefully the shock at the end is England actually bringing it home. That would be a great shock, wouldn't it? So, you know, fingers crossed. Anyway, before we get cracking into today's games and what went down, I want to let you know this video is brought to you and sponsored by the OneFootball app. Make sure you hit that link in the description for all of your footballing latest. All to do at the FIFA 2022 World Cup. All your latest news, your standings, your results, your fixtures, your statistics, whatever you need, it's there in the OneFootball app. And as well as that, going into the season after the World Cup is done, if you're based in the UK and Ireland, as I always say, you get access to one Italian Serie A match per match day streaming on the app and Italian Serie A highlights. So make sure you download the OneFootball app, link in the description. Enjoy. Let's get cracking. Starting off with that eventful Group D. Group D, what an end. What an end. Tunisia 1, France 0. I told you guys that I reckon Tunisia would up it. I reckon they would show a little bit more discipline. I didn't say Tunisia to win. I did say, if I'm not mistaken, did I say 1-1? I think I said 1-1. But because France rested players, because Tunisia were up for it, because they knew they had to win, because they had their backs against the wall, they were going to take this game seriously, which is unfortunately what I feel like they didn't do in the prior two games. Yes, maybe against Denmark, they took it seriously, but they weren't clinical at all. They were very clumsy in front of goal, and that punished them. And then in the Australia game, it just looked like they thought, yeah, you know what, it's Australia, we might have this. They might have just shown a little bit too much disrespect. And Australia, who, funnily enough, are more talented than we expected them to be, beat Tunisia 1-0, and that did not help Tunisia. Going into this, they knew they had to win, and they did. Fair play. Today was the Tunisia that we expect to see. However, France were fielding a B-string team, let's say a second-string team. And yes, even though later on they did bring on the big guns like Mbappe and Griezmann and everyone, there was a lot of rotation in that team, and rightfully so because France have already topped the group. But Tunisia, facing what they have in front of them, France are still France. People rave on about their squad depth and all of this. Well, today they played their squad depth and they lost to Tunisia. Even with the goal at the end that got ruled out, and rightfully so. But Tunisia defensively looked good. They were a good block. They were solid. They were moving the ball well up top. They were advancing pretty well. Tunisia were playing as I expected them to play. So fair play to Tunisia. At the end of the day, they got a win, and it was a good goal. Nice little move, even though the finish, the ball crawled in at 0.1 mile an hour. But Khazri with a fantastic finish at the end. He managed to slot it into the bottom corner. Very nice move. Takes advantage, and it's 1-0. And Tunisia, in those circumstances, done only what they could do. Yes, they didn't get the result against Australia, but in those circumstances, they beat France. That's huge. When you think about it, that's huge. And that does normally reward you with a place in the last 16. But Australia had other ideas. So before we get to Australia, I want to say Tunisia have done themselves proud today. They can exit the competition with a very memorable result. I think there's a lot of these so-called little teams that are not little teams anymore that are leaving this competition having caused an upset or made one statement, against a big team, like the Saudis against the Argentines, like the Japanese against the Germans, even though we've got Japan to play tomorrow. It's nice to see these teams that are causing these big shocks, and they're able to leave the competition not just on 0 points, but they've done something, Tunisia, I felt like could have done more throughout their entire journey, but today they've done exactly what they had to do. I thought they were solid. I thought they were advancing well. They took the game to France. They weren't scared, and they held their own, and fair play to them, and on the brink of advancing if it hadn't been for Australia. Now let's move to Australia, because this was the shock. I did say yesterday in my preview that I think Denmark will beat Australia, and as a matter of fact, Tunisia have a chance to cause a shock and advance to the last 16, because that's how I thought it was going to go down. I thought if there was anyone that was possibly going to win, it would be Tunisia versus the French, but I thought Denmark would beat Australia, because we've not seen Denmark yet. like the Denmark that we know, they've not shown up. And, well, the competition for them is now finished and they still haven't shown up. Or if this is it, then I don't know what's happened to Denmark. People were talking about them as dark horses. I was talking not for the competition. I put them as dark horses to win the group. I thought that they would be able to win the group. They have finished bottom. Embarrassingly bottom. Having lost. They've ended up with 1 point at the end of this because they drew against Tunisia 0-0. You know, they lose to France and they lose to Australia. Very, very, very weird settings, Denmark. But, we have to give credit to Australia. No one expected this from Australia. No one in their right mind expected this from Australia. Australia were absolutely class in every single sense of the word. They had an opportunity, despite them, they didn't dominate the game, but they had opportunity and they took it. The counter-attack that led to the goal for Leckie to score was fantastic. Great move taken from the box, advances the ball straight to the middle, nice little touch over to the side, over to the left-hand side, and it's a fantastic run by Leckie behind the halfway line, beats the offside trap because he's behind the halfway line, and he's in. He's in, not one-on-one with the goalkeeper, one-on-one with the defender. He twists him into a pretzel and sends him back to Denmark. Beautiful finish into the bottom corner. You got to give it to Australia. They deserve to be in the last 16, and no one expected it because by name, the Australians don't have, I feel like, what they used to have. They don't have Viduka, Harry Kewell, Cahill. Like, they don't have those guys anymore, you know? You look at them and think, oh yeah, they're just a bunch of guys that play in Australia. They're not really going to bring the quality. It's those sort of teams nowadays that are the ones to cause the shocks. And the ones that you don't know about, you know, are the ones that will get you a result. So Australia won, Denmark 0, and Australia advanced to the last 16. Very, very impressive. Congratulations to Australia. What's funny is the Australians over in Australia were watching this, I think, at 4 a.m. And they've all gone celebrating at 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning. No one's going to work. Like, as I speak right now, everyone, I'm sure, is pretty obliterated. So Australia in the last 16. Although I think now they have to play Argentina. And we're about to get to that now very, very shortly. Why? Because Group C has ended as well. Saudi Arabia 1, Mexico 2, Poland 0, Argentina 2. And Argentina bounced back eventually, didn't they? Yes, Lionel Messi missed a penalty, but the class shines through. Eventually it has to. Argentina are a top team. They're no pushovers. They are giants. They are one of the favourites for this entire tournament. They had one dodgy game against Saudi Arabia. They've bounced back. They've topped the group. They know exactly what they're doing now. And they've done it in good style. However, Poland had an opportunity to go through and they let themselves down. They did not play to the level that they needed to get a result. However, they are going through as well. Why? Because Mexico couldn't get what they needed against Saudi Arabia. Let's start with Saudi Arabia, Mexico, because this game was quite interesting till half-time. At half-time, you actually thought, okay, the Saudis have held their own. It's still 0-0. The Saudis had a chance to go through. Even if they drew, they'd have to wait on the other result. So that is something that was definitely going their way. You think one halftime team talk is going to do the trick. They come out immediately at halftime and they concede. And the Mexicans get 1-0. Mexico already know that they need goals because goal difference isn't in their favour. They get a second goal. Great finish by Chavez. Fantastic. 2-0. But even then, with Argentina beating Poland 2-0 after minute 67, which was a few minutes afterwards in terms of Mexico getting the second goal against Saudi Arabia, Mexico still knew that they needed to score because on goal difference, it was looking pretty tight. And even after Poland conceded the second and Mexico were winning 2-0, even though the goal difference was exactly the same, the goals scored was exactly the same. The yellow card record was going in Poland's favour because they've had 2 yellow cards conceded less than Mexico. So even then, Mexico needed to hope for either them to score one more goal or for Argentina to score one more goal. So even if it finished 2-0, 2-0, Mexico would have still headed home. But at the end, Saudi Arabia coming clutch. Minute 95, they want one last little statement to make. They are going out swinging, you know. They're not going to go down and just accept it and just leave the competition. They are going to make themselves heard at the very end. And they did. A very nice move slotted in by Al Dawsari, who makes it 2-1. Saudi Arabia don't get the result. But at the end of the day, congrats to Saudi Arabia on what was a pretty impressive tournament overall. Very, very impressive. No one expected them to beat Argentina. Everyone thought they'd get battered by everyone. They didn't. They held their own in every game. The last game, a little bit tired today. They gave it. They didn't get battered by a Mexican team that people know are quite decent. So fair play. Fair play, Saudi Arabia. But Poland losing 2-0 isn't enough to knock them out. Argentina have gone through as group winners and Poland have joined them as runner-up. So there it is. Group C and D are now over. That's done. Argentina and Poland are going through. Mexico and Saudi Arabia going out. And that's the end of your roundup for today and the matches that went down. Let me know your thoughts down below. I'd love to hear all of your opinions and your congratulations to teams like Australia that no one thought would get through, and they did. Massive congrats. Your thoughts overall in terms of Denmark, in terms of the Saudis, Mexico leaving the competition as well, Poland just making it. Let me know. Argentina, do you think they're actually going to go far now? You think they've got enough rhythm? Let me know. I'd love to hear it. And I will see all of you tomorrow for a brand new one. Have a good one, people. Enjoy your evening. Hit the subscribe button if you are new. Hit the notification button to be notified once I've uploaded. Smash the like button if you've enjoyed this. And I'll see you tomorrow, people. In a bit. Take care and peace.